What's up, boys? Welcome back to a special episode of the Boys Podcast.
And today we're going to talk about our favorite video game console of all time. And it's funny because when we brought the episode up, we were kind of just chit chatting about, hey, what's your favorite console? And we actually have the same favorite console.
Yeah.
And it was a difficult decision. But Dan, pull out our favorite console of all time.
Well, I wish I had the earlier generation one, but I have a little bit later one that I got. I replaced my original one, and this is going to be the Xbox 360.
And for all you retro gamers and stuff out there, why we picked the Xbox 360, we grew up obviously playing the N64, and I find there's different eras, and I find the N64 was such a great era for us because it's the sleepover era. We were young.
Yeah.
We always had sleepovers to play. People were always over, and they had more of the party style games. They had the
Definitely.
Mario parties, but the sports games, Mario sports games. They had the racing games. Everything was kind of
Pick up and play.
pick up and play. They didn't really have too much RPGs. That was more Sony.
Right,
Sony
yeah.
really took over the
They
RPG.
went hard in that.
So you're not into too much RPGs, are you? Like the JRPGs?
Oh, well, especially not that era. No, those early RPGs. No, I was never exposed to them as a kid. Like again, I was like you were saying, like pick up and play multiplayer with friends kind of thing. That was my first exposure to video games, and then
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking when the choices came, and I was like, dude, does PlayStation ever have some fucking great games? But they're all RPG based, and I wasn't into that RPG style too much. I wanted to get into a game and just be able to hack and slash or play in a group setting.
Mm-hmm.
So the N64 was a close choice, but my favorite time of gaming is definitely the Xbox 360.
Yeah, me too. It's kind of lines up with our prime gaming age too. You know, our teen years, our high school years. It was a time when we were more mature gamers, and we also had the time to invest in the games too.
Yeah, and I think when the original Xbox came out and then live really started taking off and we kind of knew the scenery of gaming was changing forever and it wasn't going to be that party sleepover era.
Yeah.
We were getting older like Dan said, and live was becoming a thing where if he wanted to play the same game I was playing, I was able to sit at home and he was able to sit at
Mm-hmm.
home and we were able to play it. But man, my fondest gaming memories come from the Xbox 360 and the games we played together.
Yeah, which is funny because we were talking about the online gaming, how it really established online gaming, especially those Call of Duty games, the Halo games. It really is put us on the path to what gaming is now, for better or for worse. But it's funny that a lot of our memories with the 360 multiplayer, unlike other people, a lot of our memories are actually split screen local multiplayer.
Yeah, and after school, we would always go over to Dan's house and we would pass around that sweaty ass controller, and there would be a group of us, and we jumped into a bunch of games. But
Yeah.
Dan, let's jump into the game that really defined our high school gaming experience, and we're talking about UFC Undisputed 2010 and how much we fucking played the shit out of this game.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the podcast before, but it's really didn't just define the 360 for us, but just really defined our teen years. Like the idea that we played this game for, I don't know, it felt like it was years, but I think
Oh
in
yeah.
hindsight, maybe it was a year, year and a half. We played this game so competitively, not online, but against each other, passing that UFC title belt back and forth between whoever was winning. We had active rankings of who was on top, who was in the bottom of the rankings, and it was competitive and cutthroat too.
And he's missing out the point. This guy made every character to a T of
Yeah,
all of us, and he also made other kids in our high school and teachers. And he set up the Ultimate Fighter.
yeah.
He had a website. He had
We had a
everything.
full mini promotion going
Yeah,
on.
everything to do. He even pretended to be a couple fighters and had real fighters message him on Facebook.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Trying to pretend to be fighters, picking fake fights for our UFC video game, and those uh, Facebook posts getting picked up by the actual fighters and getting chewed out by. I remember John Doomsday Howard chewing me out. I don't know if anybody remembers that name, but
But then it came to a point where I finally had what I wanted in gaming. Um, Obviously during the summer when the Xbox first came out, we're talking about 2005, the 360 came out,
yeah, yeah.
introducing Halo 3, and holy fuck, did I play the shit out of online on Halo 3. I got really good. I was actually ranked, and like just that era of playing that game, and just but that solo online, and then finally in high school getting that experience I wanted, where I was old enough to just travel to Dan's house. He can come to my house and we could just sit together and play the shit out of a video game.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
did we ever play UFC? And it came to a point where, you know, when you're at that point when you're playing a game and it's like you can't stop thinking about it because it's so fun. And we did that with that and NBA.
NBA 2K11. NBA 2K11 really redefined basketball games on the 360. That first one with Michael Jordan on it.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, we did the exact same thing with that. Everybody in our high school created into entire rosters to occupy all the teams. We had all, was it 32 or I don't remember how many teams it is in the
Yeah.
NBA, 30 teams or whatever. And all their rosters were all people we went to high school with. And we played that shit competitively. And oh my God, just like the UFC, it was almost obsession level for a while there.
And it's funny because we you have the newer updated version of the Xbox, but we all experienced the rings.
Oh my God, the red ring. Yes,
Do you
yes.
remember anything about, PlayStation fans coming at Xbox fans? Because at that point, I didn't really hear any banter back and forth, because that era when the original Xbox came out, the GameCube and the PS2, we didn't really hear any banter anymore because everyone kind of chose where they were going to.
Mm.
And I've always been an Xbox guy until recently, and this was the console that brought out a lot of great games. We had the Arkham
Oh
series,
my God, yeah.
Red Dead, another game I love, Earth Defense Force, great sports titles, the Raw vs. SmackDowns,
Yes.
a lot of the Bioshock series,
Wow.
Gears of War, Skyrim, just
Portal,
oh,
Fallout,
Fable 2.
Fable,
Fable
great.
2. When is that going to come out?
I
Come on.
know. I can't believe there isn't re-releases of that stuff
So
too.
there's so many great titles, but then we were going into the Xbox One, where I kind of felt like Xbox was kind of shitting on the fans. It was kind of like, hey, uh, we're going to this console. They were trying to eliminate, resell buy games. They were trying to like you couldn't do this, or they were backwards compatibility. So it was kind of like, man, Xbox is trying to change the game.
Change the industry.
Yeah, until PlayStation kind of laughed at them at their thing of like, oh yeah, you can definitely play a used game on our console.
Yeah.
You can definitely. That's when I kind of switched over to the PlayStation. But the 360 remains such a gem in gaming.
Yeah, it is kind of that last system I owned where, I could go to EB Games and pick up like an old used game for, $5, $10. It's kind of last system I was able to do that for that I owned.
And top that, we forgot about Mass Effect series.
My favorite video game trilogy of all time, my favorite games of all time, the
Yeah, it's
Mass
just
Effect trilogy.
the Xbox 360 was awesome, complete with a great game. Like you said, I was able to go to Blockbuster when it was still around and pick up a $10, $15 games because there was thousands of them.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
could get you could get a good game or a shit game,
yeah.
and it didn't matter what it was, but it was the accessibility of the games were easy, they were fun. The open world, we didn't have, like you said, we didn't have too much JRPGs or these RPGs where it was kind of you had to more invest in the game. It was more pick up and play style games that would work for us.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a time where they were just putting out more games. It always felt like there was something to play. I was looking through some of those early release years of the Xbox 360. Jesus, the first year it's like a half a dozen of some of the biggest games of all time all came out, and it's like video games now. It's like you're lucky to get a game a year. It feels like.
Yeah, and it's crazy from 2005 ish when it got released to about 2013. So we had a full long time playing the 360.
Yeah, yeah, close to a decade.
And like we said, when we started gaming in high school and getting together and, you know, staying up late just gaming, and morning gaming, after school gaming. Yo, you coming over? And this was our time to kind of do that because this was our peak, like Dan said, of our age for gaming together.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of depressing sometimes. I look back on it because I just think of some of the great memories, and I just have such little faith in video companies now to be able to replicate this stuff in their newer product. Like, God, you mentioned some of the sports games earlier. I was thinking about all the different sports. You mentioned NBA, how 2K11 redefined the basketball game. NHL 14 is really the last great NHL game, the last NHL game they put effort into. Madden 25, I would argue, is the last Madden game that they put any love into. Like, I just have so many great memories of this console, and like a time where it was like the last moments of these companies actually putting real effort and care into some of their product.
Yeah, and it was sad because the ending of this console was kind of like the age where we had to start getting jobs.
Yeah,
And this
yeah,
is where, the Xbox One and what was it, the PS4 or PS3?
yeah. PS4, right?
PS3, PS4, whatever the hell it was coming out, and we weren't gaming as much anymore because we had to get jobs and we were getting out of high school and license and girlfriends and all this stuff, and it was just like our peak era of gaming together was kind of fading away with this console fading away.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, it's like it kind of grew up with us.
Yeah, it definitely grew up with us. We had it for a very long time. Such great games, great memories. What's your favorite though Xbox 360 game if you can put it in? I know you love the Mass Effect
Yeah,
series, you love Red Dead, all those classic games, GTA, but what's your top dog favorite game when you turn on that console?
I mean, I want to say Mass Effect because realistically, Mass Effect is my probably my favorite games of all time. However, I kind of want to just shout out to what was my first game I ever played on the system, and one that's always been dear to my heart, and that's Marvel Ultimate
Yes.
Alliance. And it was came out I think the second Christmas that the Xbox was out. I didn't even have one yet, but I remember like my brother getting it because it's one of the first big releases in the second year of the console, and playing that, and it was spin off of those X-Men Legends games that we played on the original Xbox,
Mhm.
but with all the characters from the Marvel games, all the settings and stuff. It was just amazing. I remember being able to travel down to my brother's university campus and just playing this a little bit on the weekends and just getting like that little teaser of it.
Yeah.
And then when I finally got the console and I got the bundle with Ultimate Alliance, it was just a perfect marriage for me. And when I go back to 360 a lot now, that is the game I often am
Yeah, that's the
revisiting.
same bundle I had also. But when you first saw the 360 and you first held it, you opened the box, what was the experience different from that to the original Xbox? The big black
Yeah,
square with the green logo. What did you prefer, the original or the 360 at the time? Were you disappointed? Were you like, "Oh, this is sleek. This is
yeah.
new."
I think I liked the sleek look of the 360 at the time. I think I was like, "Ooh, this kind of looks like a desk, like part of my desktop, like a
Hmm.
computer or something like that." But in hindsight, now I definitely kind of prefer the original Xbox in design and menu and stuff like that. The original Xbox was pretty beautiful and cool looking.
Yeah, like even think about games, like if I'm not mistaken, how long the span was before we got into the new console. Like I still think Destiny was on the 360.
Yeah, I think you're right. I
Like
think you're
that's
right.
insane because
Yeah,
I feel like that's a newer style game that was coming out, right? And it was supposed to be this big online,
yeah.
like it's incredible the span, and that ran through, our high school. So that's why we it's so nostalgic for us because that's where we put in our most gaming.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like the amount of times I packed that thing in my 360 in a backpack and walked it across town to your place or Gervais' place or something, right?
Do you
Like,
remember one quick story? Would you remember when we egged that guy's house and we
yeah.
were on my way to play UFC?
I had a
Oh,
backpack with full of Xbox. You had a backpack full of eggs.
oh my God! And
The guy catches
one of
that.
our buddy decided we were walking through the path. Randomly, all we hear is a boom, and we turned around and he threw an egg right at the back door. And oh my goodness, this guy chased us and
Yeah.
finally caught us. I remember we had to throw the eggs away.
Well, he wanted to look through our backpacks. Luckily, he looked through the backpack with the Xbox in it,
Yeah.
not the
He's
eggs.
like, "Where you guys go? What the fuck you guys doing? You guys threw eggs?" And we're like, "No, we're gonna play Xbox." He's like, "Let me see." And then we opened it up in an Xbox. He's like, "Oh fuck! Well, did you see where they went?" And
There's another time too. I remember in high school, we crashed some girl's birthday party on our way to play Xbox somewhere. And then, do you remember the girl's parents thought that we were smuggling booze into the party, but it was just an
oh,
Xbox 360 and
oh
UFC.
yes, I forgot about that. Oh
These older guys are
man.
showing up with booze to the party. No,
Oh
it's Xbox and UFC 2010.
yeah, and like even incredible that Diablo 3 came out on
Oh
Xbox.
my God, really, eh?
Yeah, just like late time gaming for us. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy to think the time difference that next year it's gonna be 30 years old.
Man.
30 years old.
Wait, no. 20,
When
20
it-
years. It'd
20
be 20
oh,
years.
20 years
So
old,
you
yes.
said
Oh,
30
yeah.
years, like, no.
Okay, my
no.
bad. I was getting excited there. Sorry.
But still, 20 years. I mean, it feels like 10 years ago that I was playing this thing regularly, not
Yeah,
20 years ago since release.
that's
Holy
crazy.
hell.
Look how old we are right now, eh?
I know.
I feel for those guys that are, NES, Genesis, early gaming. But guys, thank you for tuning in. Please tell us your favorite gaming console. And I love when you put your opinion. People are like, oh, why you like that console? It's no opinion based. There's no right or wrong
Yeah,
answer
we're not
for
saying one's better than the other. We're
no.
just saying what means most to us.
Yeah, and this was our peak gaming for high school, where we actually didn't just do the online like Dan said. We connected and we played. At the time the UFC, the NBA's. And if we weren't even playing that, we would just sit and watch someone else play whatever game they were
Yeah.
playing, and we enjoyed it all the same.
Yeah, I always thought we had a unique experience with 360 in that way. It's not like we were just, I think most people when they talk about like, oh, remember all those days on Modern Warfare and shit
Yeah.
like that, and we dabbled in that stuff, but we have very unique memories with the console compared to other users. I think.
Yeah, and that was definitely the peak of the UFC at the time.
Oh my God! You
And
get those generations, the first generation of UFC stars, and that first wave of the elite athlete UFCs, and them melding together. That early 2010s, just a great peak period for MMA and video games.
Yeah, so guys, thank you for tuning in for our favorite video game console of all time, the Xbox 360. Definitely comment your favorite video game console of all time. We would love to read about it.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be back with more fun Xbox 360 stories in the future. And tune in for another episode.
Yeah, and subscribe for more video game contents.
And music reaction and everything. We do everything
A
here.
little bit of everything pop culture.
Everything for the fans. We'll see you next time.
Until next time, boys.